Let's dive into the way I review every bike on this channel. My goal is to list all the positives and negatives I observed during filming, from the owners, or in some cases even while riding it myself. And then it's up to you, as the viewer, to decide what is the real positive and what is the real negative, which obviously should help you to make your decision either towards investing in this bike or avoiding it for something better. There's also a neutral section, which is a section where I'm not quite sure yet if whatever I'm talking about is something that can be considered a positive or a negative, so it will be somewhere in between. And again, this will be for you to decide where you want to include it. Especially with this bike, because there is not much feedback available from the real riders due to the bike being relatively new. Before starting, I just want to say a huge thank you to the staff of Grand Motor Store, who kindly agreed to have me in their store filming multiple bikes from Benda, all of which I will be posting on this channel. So make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you want to see the rest. And if you ever visit Baku, I highly suggest to visit Grand Moto, as they are currently the official distributors of Benda motorcycles in this country. Plus, the stuff here is super friendly. Okay, quick note. I get many comments from people saying that I'm too picky and whatever I say is not significant negatives or some of it is complete bullshit. That kind of demotivates me a bit, because I think people watching reviews of anything deserves to get something more than someone reading the specs already known from a simple Google search, or saying only and only positive stuff just because they are sponsored. Yes, some of what I say may not be a negative to you, some of it may be a personal preference, but for every comment like this, I also get comments from people agreeing with what I say and sharing the same personal preferences. Anyways, I believe the first group of people is totally missing the point I make at the beginning of each video, where I say it's up to them to choose what is the real positive and what is the real negative for them. But it is what it is. I'll be focusing more on the second group, to whom my videos will come as a support in making a decision on getting a particular motorcycle. And following the tradition, I'll start with the negatives. And you know what? Now when I write the scripts from the points that I made during the filming and research, this list is quite short compared to other bikes. And probably for some people, these negative points will be considered as non-existent as such. For example, the biggest negative I point on other Chinese bikes, and will point on this one, is that the ignition lock and the front wheel lock are separate. So if you are like me and ever had a bike where you can start it and lock it at the same exact lock, well, then unfortunately you will not have it here, and same as me, you highly likely from time to time will start the bike and only then realize that you forgot to unlock the front wheel. So you need to turn off the engine, take the key out, put it into the separate lock, unlock it, and only then return it back to the ignition lock. Might not be a huge friction for you, but it was for me, and many other people who drove bikes with the similar lock situation. Actually, I'm not done with the key situation, because what makes it even worse is that if you decide to get this bike, you will find out that the ignition lock and the front wheel lock are not even on the same side. Like, come on, was there a competition on how to make such a simple thing more inconvenient? If yes, then I think whoever approved this deserves a medal. I usually put the key being on the side as the strong negative, simply because if your bike falls, you'll be left with the key snapped in half, stuck in the ignition lock. And this is regardless if someone hit you on the road or you just lost the balance at the parking lot, because the weight of the bike, although not that heavy, is still enough to make that key snap. But with that being said, here it's slightly different. Yes, it is on the side, but it's kinda hidden behind the gas tank, which makes it a bit more challenging to be snapped clean if you fall. Though the downside of what is already a downside is that the ignition lock is too deep and kind of hidden behind the gas tank, which will make you either lean on the side to find the lock or scratch the surroundings of that lock until you find it. Probably over time you'll get used to all of this, but come on, what happened with the good old ignition locks between the handlebar and the tank? Miss my Yamaha XSR 900. Next negative may not affect you directly, since you're supposed to drive that machine, but it will probably affect your passenger, simply because the passenger seat is too small. Smaller than other bikes from China with a similar style and look. So if you're planning to use this bike to see the country through long distance rides, the closest you can get before your passenger starts to complain about the comfortness will probably be some Burger King 15-20 minutes away. Now continuing with negatives, there are two of them both located on the handlebar. First is the lack of self-canceling turn signals, which for those who never had them before should not be even considered as a negative, since you never experienced the self-canceling ones on the previous bike. But for those who actually did, well, this will be a bit of a downgraded learning curve to get used to it. Second is liquid reservoir. Two of them actually. Probably one for the brake fluid and the second one for the oil. Don't get me wrong, they are nice. Covered in a black matte boxes, which compared to trauma I got from the CFmoto CLC 450 and the jar of piss is way more attractive. The small negative I have with them is the cutout where you can actually see the level of these fluids. Instead of facing the driver, they are facing outwards, which reduces the chances that you will notice any changes in levels to take care about it on time. Actually, it's quite strange because in other models from the same company, Benda used windows on both sides. So, not sure what was the reason here to have only one, and having it in a less noticeable location for the driver. Finally, the last one, which probably is the most insignificant out of this short list of negatives, is that space between the driver's seat and the gas tank. This one, again, gives me some flashbacks from my CFmoto CLC 450 review, where it also had a similar gap that I honestly don't understand from the design perspective. Like, is this where some accessory should go, or maybe it's one of the ways to use less material and keep the price of this bike $29.99 less than it is? Regardless of the reason, I believe this is a beautiful bike for its price, and ruining the look with this is kind of meh. I actually like what they did on some of their other bikes, where the seat goes slightly on top of the gas tank, so whatever you have between your legs is not touching the cold metal of the tank. Alright, that's it for the negative section, and if you think there are no more negative stuff to say about this motorcycle, then wait until you hear everything from the neutral section. Because this is the one where it's totally up to you where you want to include everything you will hear in this section. And the first one I have to include here is the fact that this bike uses automatic transmission, which means that no more up and down foot movement and confusion if you had any before with your previous bike. You simply push the throttle and voila, it will drive. I will talk about this in the positive section, but I believe this is a dream of every newbie who wants to start riding the motorcycles but not confident enough if they can wrap their head around the manual transmission. The question I have, and I'm sure many have on their mind, especially knowing how new this bike is, the question is, how good is this convenience? Will it work flawlessly all the time? Will it fail in the real world use and not just a short drive for a review? I guess time will tell, and this is why you found this feature in the neutral section. Next out is the brakes of this bike. Obviously nothing good or bad I can say about this, so that's why you found them in this section. What I can say for now is that it has disc brakes with Bosch ABS system, the one I wish I had on my second bike during the rain to avoid what you can see now. You also get TCS, which stands for Traction Control System, which I experienced on my CLC 450, and I believe it saved me when my tire was flat without me knowing about it. But other than that, this is why I decided to include this point in the neutral section, and hopefully owners of this bike will gather under the comment section either to say something positive related to these brakes or say something not so promising. Sound is the one I decided to include in the neutral section, and I believe I will do so for every other bike in the future because same as the bike itself, it's the matter of taste, and I believe what may sound good to me might not be the same for other people watching this review. So I'm not sure if you will treat this one as the negative or a positive for your likings. But anyways, this is how it sounds. Let me know in the comments what do you think. But keep in mind that we cannot fully test the throttle because if we use it, the bike will drive. Remember, it's automatic transmission. The final neutral I will put here is the price. It costs around 6 to 7k USD, depending where you are. Not the cheapest one, there are cheaper bikes from the same brand that I will review as well, but at the same time, not that expensive either for a brand new bike. I deliberately have this point in the neutral section because it's just hard to define what is cheap and what is expensive for every single viewer this video will have. For some it may be super cheap for a brand new bike, and for others it may be too expensive. So it's up to you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if for some reason you are still here, it means that you either turned on this video while taking a shower and now your hands are too wet to turn it off, or you're really interested in this bike. And if it's a second option, then I believe you will enjoy that part, because we are moving to the positive section of Benda Chinchilla 350 Neo. And the first one I have to say about this bike, which will include multiple positive points, is the fact that this is probably one of the best new motorcycles for beginners existing today. Obviously, the first point is going to be that automatic transmission that I mentioned earlier. I just remember myself when I was starting 5 years ago with the QA 125 and how anxious I was for the first few weeks because of the manual transmission and fear of missing the neutral or doing something wrong on the actual real-world ride and not just some parking practice. And if this sounds like you, or you're tired of damaging your favorite shoes from the constant use of the manual transmission, then the automatic transmission is probably one of the main features that should attract you as the new rider. Because you are essentially driving a scooter in a body of a proper looking motorcycle. You push the throttle, you release it, and that's it. That's all it takes to get this bike going. Pretty dope, to be honest. Next one that is also related to attractiveness to someone who is new to motorcycles is the compactness of this bike. I'm not saying that it's super small, but it's not huge either for a cruiser type of bike. It's almost the same as CFmoto CLC 450, probably a tiny bit smaller, and based on what I can say for sure, that this compactness is just right for the lane splitting or avoiding heavy traffic while still looking like a proper motorcycle and not just some heavy scooter. You know what else makes this bike ideal for beginners and sometimes even some experienced riders? The automatic side stand cutoff, which means that if you forget to close the side stand or kickstand, whatever you name it, before you move, the bike will shut off its engine and will refuse to drive until you close the stand. If you are a beginner, you may not fully understand how good this feature is, but trust me, as someone who literally jumped and nearly crashed his first few bikes exactly from this, because this safety feature was not there, I really do appreciate it. So will you, if you consider getting this bike. Moving to another positive that I believe should make this attractive for beginners and even experienced riders. Located lower than the seat level. Just a few years ago I would probably say the chain, but not now, and not with this motorcycle, because there is no chain. Instead you will find the belt, which I can easily include in the positive section because it requires less maintenance and it's easier and cheaper to replace than the classic chain. You know, in 21st century we got multiple things upgraded that can make things easier, and belt drive I believe is one of those upgrades. Another one that makes this bike pretty good for the beginner, and I'd say even for experienced drivers, is the look of this bike. It's dope. I think they nailed it with the headlamp looking like an arc reactor from the Iron Man suit. It gives the front side of this bike kind of a custom look. They also nailed it with the engine look. Not sure if this is just the covers or the actual material and look of the engine, but I personally don't care much as long as it is easy to repair and looks good at the same time. Actually, one of the reasons why I compliment the look of the engine is how bad the engine look was on their more expensive Benda LFC 700 model, where the look of the engine was just horrible in my opinion, compared to overall attractiveness of the bike. Let's be honest, which one out of these two engine looks you would prefer more? There are some other cool details affecting the look of this bike, like this cutout logo plate on the seat, making the seat look less boring, or the logo cutouts on the sides of the tank, which in some bikes can be in a form of just a simple sticker, but not here obviously. Speaking of the gas tank, I have another two positives to say about it, and both are pretty functional and not just look related. First is a small positive, but it makes your life easier than without it. And that's the fact that the tank cap opens like a door and stays on the tank itself without a need to hold it in your hand or find a place for it so you can fill in your gas or deal with your wallet to pay for it. I think those like me, when I drove bikes with fully detachable tank caps, would really appreciate the small detail. And the second one is the fact that despite the compactness of this motorcycle, you actually get 16 liters capacity, which is super decent in my opinion, compared to bikes larger than this with much less tank capacity. For example, my CLC 450, again slightly larger than this bike, had only 12 liters, but Chinchilla 350 Neo offers 16 liters, which again I believe is pretty dope for a compact bike like this. Right next to the full tank you also get the Type C and Type A ports, which is pretty nice, not something you will find in all new models of other manufacturers, and something I definitely missed in previous bikes. I also like that they have USB-C, which we can use for majority of our devices, but also USB-A for some cheap devices that still require USB-A ports for power and charging. Moving slightly above, you can find the adjustable brake lever. No clutch obviously, because it uses the automatic transmission, but still, even for this brake lever they have the adjustment wheel that you can use to adjust the lever for your likings, with the indicators that make it easier for you to see by how much you change it. Finally, the last positive that I usually put as a negative in majority of Chinese bikes is the screen. You see, the good thing about the screens on these Chinese bikes is that they are quite modern. The bad thing is that all of this is kind of useless, because you get no customization to the icons, theme or whatever. So what's the point of some tiny TV on your bike without some basic customization features? Anyways, why I decided to include the screen of Chinchilla in the positive section is because it does not pretend to be some kind of super feature-packed tiny TV screen. No, it's just a round LCD screen with main info you will use while driving, the indicators, clean look, pretty bright, and that's it. Nothing less, nothing more. Not pretending to be something better like the others. And for this, I believe this deserves to be in a positive section. And that's all the positives, neutrals and negatives I managed to observe and find for you, which hopefully will help you to make your decision. I won't beg you for likes and subscribe to my channel, but I won't complain either if you decide to do so. Especially knowing that I'm not sponsored and do these videos to help random strangers on the internet. Thank you and see you somewhere else.